Long familiar with the visible monuments of man's past, we have only begun to explore the sunken landscapes of the sea. Here lie the relics of civilizations spent. A helmet, a wine jar, a marble figure still pretending life. The greatest museum still lies under the sea. Out of the depths have come statues from the golden age of Greece. A boy rider, the matchless bronze believed to represent the sea god Poseidon. Off the Greek island of Antikythera, the Calypso team returns to the site where in 1900, sponge divers made their celebrated discovery of shipwrecked art treasures. For some statues, discovery came too late. Their carved features forever marred by the relentless action of the lithophagy, sea organisms that attack the exposed stone. Using modern techniques, the Calypso divers hope to find companions to the rare bronzes recovered from oblivion. Like sleepwalkers in time, they stare at us across the centuries, mute survivors of battles won or lost, of serenity shattered by chaos. Yet mute, they tell us much. One of the most astonishing archaeological finds in history is shown us by Nicholas Yalouris, director of the Greek National Museum. A lump of corroded bronze from Antikythera, it revealed a Greek achievement never before known or even suspected.
Les connaissances techniques et technologiques des anciens étaient de beaucoup plus développées qu'on pense en général.
Able to conceive and build the earliest known geared instrument to calculate the movement of stars, the Greeks, 100 years before Christ, held the key to the Industrial Revolution and modern computer technology. Here, the lost astrolabe lay hidden for 2,000 years. What other secrets? What other treasures still wait to be released from their watery tomb?
Upon the shores and islands of the Aegean stand the broken stones and artifacts of 100 lifetimes of human history. Most have been shattered by the violence of nature or man. A few, oddly, have been saved by it. Midway between Crete and Kythera itself, legendary birthplace of Venus off the Greek mainland, the island of Antikythera lies at the crossroads of the ancient world.
D'Athènes à Anticythère, ça fait à peu près 6 heures de route par beau temps.
Here, sometime in the 1st century before Christ, a Roman ship foundered with a cargo of art. But where she was from, or where bound, no one knows. Hopefully, in his search for the Greek bronzes, Cousteau and his divers will find clues to an answer. will confirm and make more precise the archaeologists' estimated date at which the astrolabe was in use. Close to the steep-sided island, Cousteau must take unusual precautions. Exposed to the Meltemi, the northerly wind that can raise a howling storm in minutes, he orders 2 huge anchors dropped on the Calypso's seaward side. While the Calypso is secured, Cousteau takes off for a preliminary aerial reconnaissance of the island.
A shard of stone in the surrounding sea. Antikythera still carries traces of a past that reaches beyond written history. Across the island have swirled the tides of pillage and conquest. Past it, the legions of Rome extended her authority over the crumbling world of ancient Greece. Past it, later, her galleys ran to put down rebellions from Athens to Pergamum, or to crush upstart rivals to Roman power. But in the disorder and plunder of contending armies, how and when did the Greek masterpieces come to rest in the sea of Antikythera? Once heavily wooded, the island now is nearly naked as bone. Down this ancient launching slip went the ships built from the vanishing forest. Spending their future to buy the present, the islanders' seaborne trade prospered for a time, but succeeding generations would pay for it in soil forever eroded and washed away.
Held off the rocky shore by the anchors to seaward, the Calypso is now attached to the land. 3 heavy nylon lines are tied to steel cables looped over the outcropping rocks. Tightened, they will hold the ship secure against surging seas and all but the heaviest weather. At the center of her web, the Calypso now lies directly above the site of the sponge divers' earlier discoveries, nearly 200 feet below. With the divers, Cousteau discusses plans for a systematic survey of the seafloor. By completing a photographic mosaic, they will be able to chart precisely any possible finds.
Fait ce qu'il veut, fait des effets de groupe.
It is assumed that all the artifacts lying exposed on the sea bottom were raised in the first attempts at recovery in 1901. With modern equipment, Cousteau intends to search for buried pieces the earlier divers were unable to retrieve.
Along the sloping bottom, far below the sunlit surface, Falco and I examined the area where the sunken ship must have come to rest more than 20 centuries ago. No sign remains of the timbered hull, which has long since rotted away. But here and there, pieces of pottery, bowls, and double-handed amphoras lie bedded in the sand. Often in daily use as utensils or containers, the brittle jars are generally short-lived, and are accordingly useful in dating archaeological finds. It is the trace of green, the sign of bronze, that we are mainly seeking. Regularly melted down for weapons by invaders, perhaps no more than 24 large Greek bronzes remain in existence, and of these, fewer still belong to the golden age of Greek art in the 5th and 4th centuries before Christ. Much of the search requires delicacy and care. With a fan-like wave of the hand, the divers brush the silt or sand, which is carried away by the movement of water, like dust in a breeze. A flat piece of bronze is found, then another. Puzzling relics whose character or function are not quickly apparent. Diving twice a day for 20 minutes at 180 feet, we must on each occasion undergo a half-hour decompression period. Clinging to the Calypso's keel, 10 feet below the surface, can become a monotonous, though imperative chore.
C'est long, une demi-heure de palier.
Falco brings up the bronze pieces which have baffled them, but they soon are identified as parts of ancient furniture by the Greek archaeologist aboard Lazaros Kolonas.
Pas tout à fait ce qu'on espérait, mais en fait c'est du bronze. Yes, maybe from sea.
Old friend and associate Frédéric Dumas suggests the best way of cleaning the incrustations from the pieces before they can dry and harden.
It mustn't dry.
Convinced that other pieces lie hidden below, Cousteau assembles the camera mosaic of the bottom as a reference guide. To speed the search, Cousteau has brought a new and effective device, the suceuse, an underwater suction pipe, heavily constructed to withstand the pressures in deep water without collapsing. The suceuse will act as a vacuum cleaner, drawing up particles from the seafloor. Powered by a compressor aboard the Calypso, the suceuse begins its operations. Flashed through the basket strainer hung over the side, Only sand and silt pass through the fine mesh. Here, even the smallest bits of archaeological salvage are trapped and saved. On the possibility that the sunken ship may have lodged against a great rock on the shelf above the deeper abyss, the divers searched the slope beneath. For as the ship disintegrated, part of its cargo may have been strewn far below the area of the main discoveries. Now the Scuba is ready to join the dig. Because of the diving saucer, archaeologists no longer are restricted to the surface as in the 1901 recovery effort. Today, they can descend and study underwater sites themselves. Equipped with a blower pump, it too will attempt to expose any artifacts hidden under the sand. Taking with them a map of the underwater side based on the photographic mosaic, Cousteau and his companion Albert Falco will at all times be able to fix their position below with pinpoint accuracy. Working in partnership with the Scuba and its blower pump, the diver soon retrieves from the moved sand of the bottom a growing array of objects. A small oil lamp that once may have lit a lady's chamber. Several jars and amphoras for household supplies. All are carefully placed in the basket for return to the surface. Himself a participant in early archaeological explorations underwater, Dumas eagerly greets the returning divers. Quickly, the objects are turned over to archaeologist Colonnas for scrutiny and assessment. All pieces from approximately the 1st century BC, a period when the Eastern Mediterranean already was dominated by Roman rule. By a line attached to the Scuba, the ship's launch prevents it from being swept against the Calypso's hull until the hoist can lift it aboard. A superbly effective instrument underwater, the habitat for which it was designed, the diving saucer is a clumsy contrivance when it reaches the surface.
C'est le trésor de Rackham-le-Rouge.
As Cousteau emerges after his underwater survey, he is buoyantly confident. To archaeologist Colonas, he reports that the streaks of green visible in the search area have convinced him that other bronze pieces still lie buried on the bottom, waiting to be found.
We must first clear all this part, because I think this is the place where we will find most things. So there must be bronze everywhere.
Day after day, the Suceuse flushes a continuing stream of sand and pebbles through the basket strainer. Far below, on the bottom, the divers make test excavations in one place and then another in a systematic exploration of the site. Regularly, the contents of the screen basket are dumped on deck. Like obsessed gamblers, archaeologists and crew members scratch inch by inch through the debris, hopeful that some treasure will be revealed. Small treasures, often fragments of some broken artifact, do appear. Here Cousteau examines a marble finger, tantalizing evidence of a larger sculpture. Again, a small piece of marble, the thumb from a sculptured hand.
Ça, c'est le pouce.
On doit pas être loin de la statue, hein? Ah oui, il s'approche. Ah oui, regardez, il y a bien là.
Ah oui, c'est le pouce.
On a le pouce et le petit.
Now, out of the debris comes a small encrusted lump of metal. It has no shape that might suggest its identity and function. Yet it too is carefully saved in hope that, after it has been cleaned, it may have some scholarly significance. Among archaeologists, they are no trifles.
Oh!
Another item has a more easily apparent value. A tiny ornamented gold cap whose use no one can guess.
What is it?
On va trouver la pierre, mais...
Peut-être qu'il y en a d'autres là. Maybe other ones. Sortir ça.
Une main.
A marble hand and a foot, found by Alberto Falco, bring a pang of disappointment because they have been battered and damaged. There are slack periods when the divers find nothing. Then the Suceuse reveals a harder surface, a gleam of marble. With growing excitement, Ivan Giacoletto pries it to the sand. At last, disengages a life-size marble arm. Immediately, he scrawls a message on a slate, reporting his find and asking that the basket be lowered.
On va voir ce qu'il nous a marqué.
Dans la plaque.
J'ai trouvé le bras d'une statue en marbre. Raymond, monte le panier. C'est lourd?
C'est pas léger.
Hein?
C'est pas léger.
Dégage, dégage.
On deck, the find creates an excited stir. At this point, it appears to be the most impressive discovery yet made. Though stained by its burial in the sand, it has been preserved from the ravages of lithophagy, the enemy organisms of the sea. While Colonna studies the find, Giacoletto joins the group in smiling pride, a young explorer displaying the exotic treasure he has brought back from some alien country.
Comment il a été placé?
Il était, tenez-le bien, hein, il était
Oui,
comme ça.
Comme ça.
Comme ça.
Ça sortait?
Non, ça sortait pas, c'était là, c'est ça ce que c'est sorti. Juste cette partie-là.
Now there is an ominous shift in the weather that soon forces the Calypso to halt all operations. Like a reminder of the ancient storm that once smashed a Roman ship upon this island, a rising wind out of the northwest drives the sea against the rocky shore. On the bridge, Cousteau considers the swiftly growing force of the Meltemi. Far larger ships than the Calypso have been driven helpless before it. Racing against the full force of the blow, Cousteau orders men in the launch to cut the shore lines without delay, leaving the steel anchoring loops for reuse in calmer weather. Like the bird scudding before the wind, the Calypso too takes flight. Attaching the lines of massive anchors to buoys, she leaves them behind and heads for the open sea. At last, finds shelter on the leeward side of Crete, 70 miles away. As they await the storms passing, archaeologist Colonnas shows Falco his elaborately kept catalogue of finds. Piece by piece, the Calypso divers are accumulating an impressive collection of artifacts. A small lamp whose wick once burned olive oil. A lacrimarium to save tears. A handy device to measure a widow's grief.
χαρακτηριστικό για την λεπτότητα της τέχνης, πολύ προσεγμένο, καλά διατηρημένο. Στο κάτω μέρος
The tiny gold cap Colonnes has now realized is the setting for a precious stone. It much resembles those in a necklace already on display in the museum at Nicosia on the island of Cyprus. The small lump of metal, now partly cleaned, has been revealed as a little stack of coins fused together by the chemical action of the sea. As the storm abates, the Calypso again fixes her mooring lines above the sunken Roman wreck. Once more, the divers resume their search. For a time they find little, only an ancient skull. A traveler aboard a wrecked galley, he no longer carries name or rank, whether general or legionnaire, captain or slave. A living casualty among the cargo of bronze and marble forms, he is now far less valuable than either. A curious find. Huge bronze nails, once driven into wedge-shaped spikes of seasoned wood and used to rivet the hulls of ancient ships. From the sand, the divers excavate an unexpected relic, fragments of wooden planking that have lain under the seafloor for 2 millennia. They are part of the galley deck on which the Romans walked. Still, the decking is a perishable discovery. Preserved only because they were buried, the planks may decay in weeks when exposed to air. From Athens comes an interested official, George Papathanasopoulos, in charge of marine archaeology in Greece. With Cousteau, he examines the galley decking and the most recent artifacts brought to the surface. For the most part, the relics are fragments of shattered larger figures. Despite Cousteau's hope that some of the pieces would be revealed as parts of a single statue, the marble limbs belong to separate sculptures. Viewing the bits of an ancient armor also found, Albert Falco serves as an impromptu model for the crest of a bronze helmet.
Avec ça, on devait plonger. C'est pas tous les jours qu'on coiffe une crinière de bronze.
Tout ce qu'on a trouvé d'intéressant, les bijoux...
In the wardroom, Cousteau again studies the camera mosaic on which each recovered object has been precisely charted. The jewels, the coins, the pottery and pieces of inlaid glass, the marble fragments.
Le bras, où est-ce qu'on a trouvé le bras?
Et à côté du rocher rond, à droite, à côté du gros morceau de bois.
Ça, c'est le bras de marbre.
Un bras de marbre.
Mais alors, les piles de pièces de monnaie, où est-ce qu'on les a trouvées?
But where are the bronzes he is so eager to find, and which he is convinced lie hidden there? Hopefully, he searches for a pattern, but the mosaic gives no hint.
La faneuse rocheuse et ces blocs de roche ici. Et dans cette région, les bijoux, en 3 endroits, donc il serait intéressant de continuer les recherches par ici.
On the chance that valuable artifacts may be encased in them, even large blocks of consolidated sediment as hard as rock are lifted by cable to the surface.
Alors qu'est-ce que c'est? C'est un bloc, c'est le filet, c'est un des gros blocs. Attention, attention, attention!
A sudden slip reminds watchers of a heartbreaking earlier accident in 1901. Lifting a magnificent marble horse from the water, the cable parted, sent the great statue tumbling into the abyss from which it has never been retrieved. Hoping to break the material along its own fault lines and leave intact any object it may contain, the searchers attack the block. At first, the hammer reveals nothing. Then, not a bronze, but a pot is exposed and finally freed.
On voit bien le clou qui vient depuis assez loin, qui va jusque là, dans sa cheville de bois.
On the bottom, far below, one of the divers has encountered a straight edge that could have been cut only by human hands. Gradually, a square box-shaped stone object is pried from the sand, but its function seems dubious. Perhaps it may have been intended to serve as a base for a small statue. On the possibility that his companion piece may lie close by, Ivan Giacoletto probes the surrounding area while another diver provides the lights. Then a metal shape is slowly unlocked from stone and time. As the diver brushes away the silt, the small bronze figure of an ancient boxer emerges. It is the first bronze figure discovered intact. On deck, Cousteau and Colonnas curiously examine the rectangular stone object.
Vous êtes attaqué par ça ou le socle?
Very beautiful.
Then, amid a stir of jubilation, they survey the prize brought up by its proud discoverers. Out of scale, the box-shaped object is not the proper base for the figure. Still missing, moreover, is a round disc which must have served as a turntable. On it, a figure could be turned at the viewer's pleasure, perhaps best to catch the light or to reveal some new aspect of the form. Clearly, Greek sculptors did not lack an appreciative public. While cleaning begins on the figure, the divers return to the seafloor, hopeful of new discoveries. Near the point where the boxer was found, the divers again pry into the hardening deposit. Cautiously chipping away the sediment, they expose a small section of a sculptured form. Once again, the seafloor releases a part of its hoard. This time, a bronze figure of a young man closely matched in size to the earlier find. Against a darkening sky, the figure stands there, a quiet messenger from our past. The Calypso team admires a few of the astonishing array of recovered objects. The earrings with their tiny gold figure of Eros. A small bronze arm for which, sadly, no one has been able to find the parent figure.
La main, et ça va presque jusqu'à l'épaule. Hein? About the same size as the other ones. Same size, about that high.
Là, ça va là. Hein. Et ici, il y a un... Etwas. Was? Ja, das ist eine... Eine Höhle. Ja.
Priceless because they are irreplaceable. The pieces might have been lost forever. Now, like a sight or sound suddenly remembered, they have been brought back into life. Again, they belong to us.
Wunderschön.
2,000 years ago, a Greek woman wore these jewels, perhaps to the games at the stadium or to a performance of Medea in the theater.
Vous avez vu la petite amphorette?
Oh, wir werden das auch später.
In this miniature vase were stored the precious perfumes brought by ship from Asia Minor. These coins, through how many hands did they pass in trade, and for what were they spent? All are tokens from the murmuring past. Since ancient times, many have come to Greece to steal, or pillage, or destroy. On Calypso falls the honor of being one of the rare ships to bring the plunder back. From Calypso's hold in the port of Athens comes a dazzling cornucopia of treasure, pieces of beautifully inlaid glassware, hundreds of pottery jars and amphoras, marble fragments, bronze figures, jewels and coins, all carefully packed in their protective boxes. George Cavadias, Secretary General for Culture, welcomes back artifacts missing for 20 centuries. All will be taken to the National Museum in Athens to join its collection of ancient masterpieces.
Alors, est-ce que vous avez élucidé ce que c'est que ces pièces? Vous savez
Non,
ce que
mais
c'est?
on a d'autres fragments.
Vous pensez que c'est du mobilier, ça? Vous avez n'importe quoi? Je pense que ce sont des pièces de mobilier. Un lit. Vous savez, pour...
Here, Dr. Yalouris, director of the museum, and other scholars examine and assess the Cousteau finds. They compare the bronze fragments of furniture with known similar pieces pictured and described in the museum's voluminous library.
Quel travail!
Under the direction of Yalouris, the hard-earned figures brought up from the sea at Antikythera are carefully arrayed for general examination by the museum staff. Once again, they examine the different bases found at the island, each designed to serve as a turntable for some sculptured figure or ornament. Bit by bit, each of the Antikythera artifacts is given its place in time, related to the known context of history. As technicians bring in bronzes found at the Antikythera site in 1901, Cousteau notes that one of the figures has lost a limb.
Oh! Le bras! Où est-il le bras? Le bras, le bras, le bras, le bras. Le bras!
He asks for the small bronze arm brought up by the Calypso divers.
Je suis pas sûr. Une fois nettoyé.
After an impromptu test, Yalouris tentatively agrees it is possible that the arm belongs to the earlier find.
The stance is right.
Huh?
The stance is right.
Anche se li fai, io che faccio le vecchie. Che fai tutto il
Hein?
Vous
Je
ça
crois. Je suis content. Et la petite tête, où est la tête? Same thing too. Huh? Same size. So there is one more. Il y en a encore une, hein?
Months later, eager to see the museum's progress in restoring the Calypso finds, Cousteau returns to Athens and hears remarkable news.
Do we have the other statue that you had in the museum?
Yes.
And the arm that we found? And you remember, we thought that it would fit. Is it confirmed?
It is confirmed now. It fit exactly. Yes.
So you intend to
Yes, to
attach
restore
it
it. Yes.
as
yes,
soon as the
yes,
arm is well
Yes.
cleaned?
Yes.
Uh,
We need some more work in the conservation of the hand of the arm.
Although Cousteau is delighted that the small arm found by Calypso does belong to the statue found earlier, it is the lump of coins that is the Calypso's most significant find.
These coins are of great importance to us because, exactly, thanks to them, as you remember, is a column of coins which, after the cleaning, we found out that they belong to the group of coins of the city-state of Pergamon.
and they are in silver.
They're in silver, yes.
And can we date them exactly?
Yes, around 86 BC.
Not only have the coins fixed the time of the astrolabe more closely, says Papathanassopoulos, they have dated the Antikythera wreck itself. Rebelling against the Romans in 88 BC, the people of Pergamum were terribly punished 2 years later by the returning masters. In the sack of the city that followed, statues, newly minted money, and other loot were taken aboard the Roman ship, soon wrecked of Antikythera.
So these little coins are the key to the story.
Exactly.
And they also, we have a moral ending where the results of this brutal pilfering ended up at the bottom of the sea. Thus, by a paradox, saved by shipwreck and the violence of the sea, another handful of fragments have been returned to man's visible inheritance from his past. Sometimes the fragments are damaged beyond repair, grotesque parodies of the original artist's intent, the legacy of the sea worm. And yet there remains more marble than bronze. Once common on the streets and squares of Greek cities, almost all the bronzes have been destroyed by an enemy more deadly than the sea worm, man himself. Does it matter? A few stones, more or less. A piece of an arm, or a lady's jewel, a coin, an enigmatic instrument found somewhere? Perhaps not. Perhaps it is of greater consequence that we can ever tally, for they are voices out of the dark, telling of times when man's brief adventure began, telling of civilizations that have come and gone. Through them, we touch our secret beginnings. The men and women of the forgotten past become our companions. They walk beside us.